Welcome to a serene bedtime tale, where we embark on the soothing journey of Psyche. Tonight, we'll follow the tranquil narrative of Psyche and her devoted love for Eros, a tale woven with trials and transformations, reaching toward immortal heights. Gently guided by the quiet whispers of mythology, this story invites you to rest as celestial beauty and tender devotion unfold in your dreams. So settle in, close your eyes, and let the gentle waves of ancient wonder carry you away. And now, let the tale unfold. In the gentle cradle of an ancient world, where the whispers of gods and the footsteps of mortals intertwined, Psyche was born, a being of breathtaking beauty and grace. Her birth was nothing short of celestial, as if the very stars had conspired to craft her form. From the moment she came into being, a serene aura surrounded her, enchanting all who laid eyes upon her. Psyche's beauty, as ethereal as dawn light brushing against tranquil waters, became the subject of countless tales, spreading her renown across the vast stretches of ancient earth. As time unfolded, this young maiden's charm grew into something revered, almost divine, in the eyes of the common people. Her radiance rivaled that of the dawn itself, leading many to abandon the altars of Aphrodite in favor of worshipping her. Temples once bustling with the offerings of love were now eerily quiet, filled with neglected flowers and forgotten incenses, as people's adoration shifted to this new emblem of beauty. The fervor with which they infused their devotion into this mortal form did not go unnoticed by the divine eyes of Aphrodite, the proud goddess of love herself. Aphrodite, whose beauty was once unrivaled, sensed the shift in admiration and felt a pang of jealousy brew within her immortal heart. Such envy was not befitting a goddess, but the neglect of her temples was an affront that could not be ignored. Determined to restore the balance in her favor, Aphrodite resolved to humble this mortal maiden. Her elegance cloaked her intentions, yet her resolve was as steadfast as the stars in the night sky. With the calculated grace of divinity, Aphrodite summoned her beloved son, Eros, to her celestial abode upon Mount Olympus. The air was crisp with divine anticipation as dawn crept across the skies, gilding the peaks of the sacred mountain in shades of golden and rose. Aphrodite's plan, meticulously conceived, aligned with the natural order, or so she convinced herself, as she instructed Eros to act against Psyche. The task she set before him was deceptively simple: make Psyche fall in love with a creature so hideous that her beauty would seem a curse rather than a blessing. Eros, the god of love whose arrows crafted bonds and broke hearts, took the task in his stride, though not without reservations. Weighed by a sense of unease, he set out, bow in hand, armed with arrows tipped with the power to ignite love. But as he approached the sleeping Psyche, his heart, perhaps swayed by her breathtaking innocence or guided by a trick of fate, faltered. It was at that moment, when the world seemed to hold its breath, that Eros played into destiny's hands. As he leaned in to scrutinize Psyche's serene visage, Eros accidentally pricked himself with one of his own arrows. Love, like a gentle breeze that sweeps across a sunlit meadow, filled his being. Captivated by the very soul he was tasked to humble, Eros found himself entangled in emotions as complex as the celestial tapestry itself. This unforeseen twist set the stage for a journey woven with trials and transformations, a testament to the power of love and the mysteries of divine providence. Thus, amidst the tranquility of eternal spring upon Mount Olympus, where the sun cast its warm amber glow, a choice was born of reluctance and affection, a choice that would forever alter the tapestry of divine and mortal worlds. The arrows that had so easily shaped destinies faltered before the marvel of love, inaugurating a series of events that would echo through the ages. Eros stood amid the shimmering light, the weight of his burgeoning feelings melding with the task set upon him by his mother. His dilemma was veiled in the ethereal whispers of dawn, promising a tale of love as tumultuous as it was tender. The currents of fate stirred just below the surface, weaving a story that beckoned to be told. In a great kingdom that revered beauty and harmony, Psyche grew up into a young woman whose radiance seemed to eclipse the dawn. Yet, while her beauty was worshipped by countless admirers, this adoration began to wear heavy on the heart of the kingdom's king, her father. He watched, troubled, as courtiers and commoners alike knelt before the image of his daughter instead of that of the divine. Despite her overwhelming beauty, Psyche remained alone, untouched by the love that seemed to surround her. Her unprecedented isolation was a riddle that the king could no longer bear to ponder without seeking answers from a higher authority. Determined to divine his daughter's fate, the king made a pilgrimage to the oracle of Apollo, whose wisdom was renowned throughout the realm. The journey was arduous, filled with the whispers of anxious winds and the distant call of fate unseen. When the marble columns of the oracle's temple finally graced his sight, the king set foot on sacred ground, his heart a tempest of fear and hope. In the quiet ripples of incense-laden air, the prophetess revealed an alarming vision. Psyche, untouched by mortal love and divine grace, was destined to wed a beast so fearsome that even the gods shuddered at its name. The prophecy echoed like thunder in the king's mind, each repetition doubling his despair. With a heart burdened by both a father's love and a ruler's duty, he returned to his kingdom, the weight of the oracle's words casting a shadow on his soul. Conflicting emotions raged within him as he rejoiced at the certainty of her fate while mourning the nature of her impending union. It was a test not only of his resolve, but of his capacity to balance love with the harshness of divine will. Yet within the whispering halls of the palace, Psyche herself remained composed, accepting her fate with the serene dignity unique to those touched by the divine. Her resolve did not waver, for she saw beyond the fearsome facade the oracle had described into a realm of possibilities untouched by human comprehension. She prepared for her destiny, silent as the dawn, her compassion a balm to her father's unrest. The day of her fateful journey dawned with a mournful procession that wound its way through the kingdom, each step leading Psyche closer to the unknown. Her family accompanied her, their hearts heavy with the sorrow of parting, while grief clung to them like a second skin. As they reached the cliff overlooking a vast and enigmatic horizon, a hush fell upon the gathered crowd. The wind carried with it the scent of salt and freedom, its gentle breath mingling with the quiet sobs of those left behind. Standing at the precipice, the sea stretched endlessly before her, a reflection of the boundless courage that now filled Psyche's heart. Her eyes, bright as the stars that began to sparkle in the twilight, looked unflinchingly towards the future. Her bravery was a beacon, casting light upon the shadows of fear, comforting those who had come to witness her selfless admission. The sea, ancient and wise, whispered promises of untold adventures and trials. As Psyche stepped forward to meet her fate, a heavy silence enveloped the assemblage, binding them in shared reverence for the steps she would take into the unknown. There, poised between the realms of mortality and myth, she embodied the delicate balance between human faith and divine mystery. Then, just as twilight deepened into a velvety curtain of night, a gentle breeze stirred, carrying with it a presence that was both reassuring and mystical. Perhaps it was the breath of another realm that heralded the soft arrival of Zephyrus, the west wind, whose role was soon to entwine with Psyche's destiny, guiding her to realms unseen and paths unknown. The journey of her heart, intertwined with the capricious threads of gods and symbols of eternal truths, lay just beyond the horizon. Standing at the edge of the rugged cliff, Psyche faced the vast expanse of the horizon. Her heart was a mosaic of apprehension and calm resolve, poised to meet the fate the oracle had prescribed. As she braced herself against the gentle breeze, the air around her shimmered with an otherworldly presence. It was the west wind, Zephyrus, who had come to carry her away, not to the monstrous creature she had been promised, but towards an unknown enchanted fate. Zephyrus appeared with the softest of whispers, the kind of gentle murmur that soothes a troubled soul. The winds coiled around Psyche, cradling her in their invisible embrace. She felt herself being lifted from the solidity of the earth, her fears momentarily subdued by the ethereal touch of the divine wind. Zephyrus carried her across the sky, where valleys and rivers stretched below like ancient veins of the land. Wrapped in serenity, Psyche allowed the rhythm of the wind to lull her, as the familiar world of mortals drifted further from her sight and mind. As they traveled, the landscape unfurled beneath her like a dream, a tapestry of verdant fields and meandering streams that sparkled under the emerging starlight. The setting sun retreated, painting the sky with hues of soft purple, while distant peaks, now mere silhouettes, stood vigil over the scene. In this journey, Zephyrus murmured words of comfort, casting her fears into the shadows, where they could not reach her. In time, the west wind gently deposited Psyche into a lush realm, where the landscape seemed to breathe with magic. Leaves of deep green whispered secrets carried by gentle breezes, and flowers of colors unseen on the mortal plane nodded their blooms in quiet recognition of her arrival. This was no ordinary place, but a sanctuary shaped by the divine, suspended between the whisper of winds and the twinkling gold of unseen stars above. Psyche marveled at the beauty that enveloped her, each step unveiling new wonders. Every blade of grass seemed to shimmer with a life of its own, each tree echoing the harmonious symphony of the land. Somehow, despite the mystery of her surroundings, she felt at peace, her earlier fears dissolving like morning dew under the touch of the sun. While she explored, a gentle voice, disembodied and serene, reached out to her. It called her further, guiding her footsteps towards a magnificent palace hidden amidst the greenery. The architecture was a marvel not of stone, but of light and air, as though woven from the dreams of the gods themselves. Overwhelmed by its beauty, Psyche entered, her heart filled with an anticipation tempered by awe. Inside, the palace was alive with an unseen presence. Invisible servants awaited her, attending to her every need with diligent care. They served her ambrosial fruits and fragrant nectar, each taste soothing her body and spirit. As Psyche moved through the rooms, a comforting music, soft and ethereal, caressed her senses, wrapping her in a cocoon of divine comfort. Psyche felt herself withdrawing from the worries that once pressed heavily on her shoulders. The music, like a gentle lullaby, whispered promises of a restful state. Her eyelids grew heavy as she sank into the soft embrace of silken sheets, the laughter of invisible muses dancing on the periphery of her consciousness. Psyche surrendered to the peace of her new home, allowing sleep to claim her with a soft sigh. In this enchanted realm, Psyche found tranquility, the worries of her former life fading into the corners of her dreaming mind. Yet, even as she drifted into blissful rest, the story was far from over. The mysteries of this realm hinted at new encounters and revelations, with the arrival of a still-hidden figure in the night ahead. As darkness gently wrapped itself around the palace in the enchanted realm, Psyche found herself enveloped in an aura of mystery. The gentle starlight filtered through the windows, casting delicate patterns on the marble floors. It was in this serene and quiet night that Psyche awaited the return of the one whose presence she felt deeply, though his face remained unseen. The air was filled with anticipation, and just as the shadows seemed to deepen, the touch of a familiar warmth signaled Eros's arrival. Eros, with all the grace and softness of the night itself, entered Psyche's chamber in silence. He was a comforting presence, unseen but palpable, his love a tether that reached her through words and whispers more tender than the softest breeze. In the embrace of this nighttime silence, Eros assured Psyche that his love was unwavering, regardless of the mystery that shrouded his appearance. He spoke not in grand declarations, but in a language of quiet devotion, soothing her with an intimacy that filled the chamber with peace. In their secret meetings under the cloak of night, Eros and Psyche shared moments rich with affection. Eros would whisper stories of the realms beyond, painting pictures with words that ignited wondrous dreams in Psyche's sleep. These tales, shared in the quiet hours, were not just stories but bridges that drew their hearts together, knitting an unseen bond that grew stronger with each passing night. Psyche, swathed in this love, felt her heart expanding, even as her curiosity about Eros's true nature began to whisper questions from the corners of her mind. Yet with curiosity came the thrum of fear, echoing softly beneath the surface of her growing affection. The knowledge of Eros's warning lingered, that their love, though wondrous, was fragile against the light of discovery. Eros, sensing her inner conflict, gently urged restraint, warning that knowing his identity too soon might fracture their blissful union. His words were cautious, carrying the weight of an old truth that secrecy could sometimes be the guardian of safety. Still, Psyche was resolved to trust in the unseen beauty of their bond. Against the backdrop of whispered tales and shared silence, she promised not to seek his form with open eyes, though her heart was not so easily kept from wondering. Her promise was one of faith, not just in Eros but also in the love that had come to define her nights and soothe the loneliness her days might have harbored. As each new dawn arrived with its gentle light, Eros would take his leave reluctantly, retreating to the mysteries from whence he came. The first light of morning banished shadows and uncertainty alike, but Psyche's soul stayed bright with the memory of love's nocturnal embrace. Their encounters under the starlit canopy became a sacred ritual, each night a thread weaving them together more intricately than the last. The nights hence were filled with a profound sense of intimate mystery, echoing the promise of unity shrouded in the veil of night. This mysterious dance between seen and unseen continued to deepen, holding Psyche in its gentle thrall. The sense of security that Eros's presence provided was one she held dearly, and the richness of their connection infused her being with newfound strength. As dawn approached, the world cloaked in hues of silver and the last whispers of midnight blue, Eros would fade away, leaving Psyche enveloped in an afterglow of their shared moments. It was in these tranquil departures that the reality of their love, shrouded in mystery yet full of promise, was felt most deeply. Psyche's resolve to honor this mysterious bond kept her heart open and hopeful, even as the question of Eros's identity remained a silent refrain in her thoughts. With each tender farewell, what lay ahead loomed quietly, an enigma awaiting her curiosity's inevitable edge. While the magic of their nights was mighty, the seeds of wonder still took root, growing slowly yet steadily towards a lightened dawn of their own. But for now, the tranquil veil of love was enough, whispering promises and holding safe the burgeoning unknown. In the enchanted palace where Psyche resided, her days were filled with a serene beauty that could easily mislead anyone into believing that all was perfect. Yet, a quiet longing stirred within her heart, a yearning for the familiarity of her family. She desired connection, a tether to the world she had once known. Understanding this deep longing, Psyche gathered her courage and spoke to Eros one evening, requesting permission to see her family. Her request was tenderly made, wrapped in the love that she always displayed towards him. Eros, although hesitant and wary of potential consequences, could not bear to deny her such a heartfelt wish. Thus, Eros conceded, arranging for her sisters to visit. Their arrival was welcomed with warmth, yet as they explored Psyche's divine abode, enthralled by its splendor, a subtle transformation took place. What began as admiration of their sister's opulence soon became tinged with something less benign. Behind their genial smiles lay a flicker of envy, a feeling that slowly grew as Psyche led them through the palace, each corner more breathtaking than the last. They could not help but compare their mortal lives filled with mundane struggles to the ethereal life Psyche seemed to enjoy. As the day unfolded, Psyche's sisters, in their newfound admiration and growing jealousy, began to inquire about Psyche's husband. Who was this mysterious figure who had gifted their sister with such splendor? Here, Psyche hesitated, careful with her words. She respected Eros' wish for anonymity, yet her sister's relentless curiosity pressed against her resolve like an unyielding tide. They probed with subtle suggestions and cunning questions, underlining the enigma surrounding her husband. What was it about him that required such secrecy? Their probing cooled the warm air surrounding Psyche, replacing it with a faint unease. Sensing this, her sisters exchanged knowing glances, weaving a tapestry of doubts. They filled the spaces in Psyche's silence with stories, suggesting that perhaps her husband was not the benevolent presence she perceived. Might he be a monstrous serpent, they speculated, devouring her trust in the cover of night? This idea, planted so casually, took root in Psyche's mind. Such implications shook Psyche to her core. Her heart, until now filled with love and trust, wavered. She had not contemplated such grotesque possibilities, yet the vividness with which they were described lingered as shadows in her thoughts. The sisters saw her distress, their whispers etching intricate patterns of indecision across her once untroubled countenance. They watched as the seeds they had sown started to germinate in her fertile imagination. Encouraged by her obvious unease, her sisters pressed further. They implored her to seek the truth, to uncover what was veiled in nocturnal mystery. Was it not her right to know whom she shared her nights and affections with? Their words were like siren calls, tempting and persistent, urging her to act against Eros' only request. Psyche was left in turmoil, her mind a battlefield where loyalty clashed with curiosity. She was torn between the love she cherished and the unknown truth that beckoned her. Could she bear the burden of such knowledge, and at what cost to the tender love she held sacred? The garden, once a backdrop of quiet peace, now seemed to harbor the echoes of her inner conflict, as shadows loomed across the foliage like uncertainties yet to unfold. The afternoon sun cast long, stretching shadows across the garden, mirroring the growing doubts that clutched at Psyche's heart. Though she stood amidst the rich greenery and vibrant flowers, the world felt gray, her thoughts clouded by a desire for reassurance and the fear of deceit. As her sisters left, their departure seemed to deepen the solitude around her, leaving her alone with her swirling uncertainty. Their visit had not only planted seeds of doubt, but had also left Psyche to tend to a garden of questions she was not sure how to answer. Thus, the seeds of doubt took hold, setting into motion a decision that would alter the course of Psyche's tranquil existence. She remained poised at the edge of revelation, unsure whether to step forward or retreat into the safety of blissful ignorance. As the day drew to a close, the amber glow of the setting sun encased Psyche in a warm embrace, whispering promises of unseen truths and testing the boundaries of her resolve. In the midst of these swirling doubts and delicate tensions, the stage was set for the choices that lay ahead, choices that would soon test the very foundation of the love between Psyche and Eros. Psyche lay awake in her chamber, her mind a whirlpool of doubts and desires. Her sisters' voices echoed, whispering tales of horror and deceit about her beloved Eros. The seeds of suspicion they planted had taken root, growing into a relentless need to uncover the truth. What manner of creature lay beside her every night, unseen? Psyche knew the love she held for Eros was true and powerful, yet the uncertainty gnawed at her heart. despite the warmth and safety the unseen presence of her husband brought. She sensed a veiled longing to know him beyond the shadows, to see the face of her mysterious lover who had captured her. Art died. Determination overtook Psyche as she picked up the delicate lamp from the chamber's corner. With each step toward Eros, who lay in gentle slumber, her resolve solidified. Her sister's warnings rang softly in her ears, blending with her determination to see for herself whom she had chosen to love so deeply. Quietly, she brought the lamp's light toward the hidden visage, its golden glow casting soft shadows around the sleeping form. As Psyche moved the lamp closer, its warm light pooled over Eros, revealing a figure of extraordinary beauty and divinity. His features, serene and ethereal, were illuminated, unraveled in the glow, an unmistakable testament of his godly lineage, the son of Aphrodite, love incarnate. Psyche's breath caught in her throat, astonished at the enchanting sight before her. But in her amazement, a droplet of wax fell from the lamp onto his skin, resulting in a subtle stir. Awakened by the unexpected sensation, Eros opened his eyes tenderly upon Psyche. The moment stood still, his gaze reflecting sorrow and hurt, not by the revelations but by the break in trust which had brought them here. His voice, tender yet shadowed by disappointment, resonated through the air as he spoke of faith broken. Eros had hoped their bond, unblemished and pure, was shielded from doubt's dark touch. You have seen me, and in your sight of me full, our fate must change, Eros murmured, his gaze brimming with sadness. The fragility of their covenant now lay bare between them, caught in the weave of doubts and dreams. His words sank deep into Psyche's heart, drawing forth tears that shimmered in the soft lamplight. Her intentions, driven not by malice but by the longing only love might brew, had unfurled into a consequence she had neither foreseen nor wanted, separation from the very heart she treasured. In the stillness that followed, Eros whispered farewell. The sound of his departure carried on the gentle breeze within the chamber, his presence fading like a dream. Alone, Psyche found herself adrift in a sea of contemplation, her heart aching with the void left by Eros's absence. Yet, as the night wore on, her mind, once entangled in tendrils of deceit, birthed clarity from the depths of loss. Resolve blossomed anew within her, a guiding light as sure as the lamp she had wielded. She would restore trust and mend the fracture between heart and soul. Understanding now filled her heart, mingling with the sorrow, forging an invincible intent to seek her beloved Eros once more, and redeem the love they shared. As dawn brushed the mesa of the sky, Psyche gazed out into the horizon, her spirit fortified by the certainty of the quest ahead, one she would embrace with all the devotion she had always carried for. Eros. Therein lay her purpose, untouched by doubt and buoyed by the memory of his radiant visage. Into the encroaching day Psyche stepped, determined to walk a path where trust and love reigned eternal. Psyche's heart, though broken from her recent separation, pulsed with renewed determination. Her mind set on reuniting with Eros, she embarked on a quest to prove her love and earn back his trust. Her journey began with a visit to the temple of Demeter, goddess of the harvest. Psyche, humbled and wearied, knelt before the sacred altar, seeking guidance in her time of despair. Demeter, moved by the earnest plea, hinted at seeking the intervention of none other than Aphrodite, the divine mother of Eros and goddess of love. Though wary, Psyche realized she had to face Aphrodite, whose wrath had partially fueled her troubles. It was with a renewed sense of courage that Psyche approached the resplendent temple of Aphrodite. Her steps, though burdened with apprehension, carried a steadfast resolve. Standing before the majestic figure of the goddess, Psyche pleaded, her words woven with sincerity and remorse. She beseeched for forgiveness, ready to undergo any trial it would take to win Eros back. Aphrodite, her heart a tumult of pride and jealousy, eyed Psyche with a mix of emotions. She resolved to test Psyche's devotion through a series of seemingly insurmountable tasks. Aphrodite's voice resounded like a solemn decree as she dictated the first of these trials. Before the next dawn, Psyche was to sort an enormous mound of grains, each kernel diverse in kind, into separate piles of wheat, barley, lentils, and millet. This task, a challenge only achievable through divine intervention, met Psyche with daunting impossibility. As dusk painted the sky in hues of gentle amber, Psyche sat amidst the daunting heap, the enormity of her task staring back at her. In the quiet of that moment, help arrived from the least expected source. A legion of ants, tiny yet tireless, emerged from the earth. They, unbeknownst to Psyche, had been sent as a divine aid in answer to her earnest plea and unwavering determination. Working swiftly and tirelessly under the veiled cover of night, these insect allies diligently separated the grains, executing with precision what seemed an impossible task. By the first light of dawn, the mound stood sorted, an intricate order imposed upon the chaos. When Aphrodite returned to inspect the outcome, she was begrudgingly impressed. Her eyes widened subtly in surprise at the neatly arranged piles, and though her pride resisted, a flicker of admiration passed through her divine countenance. Yet, true to her nature of imposing further trials, Aphrodite concealed her admiration, dismissing the achievement as mere happenstance. She resolved to set Psyche upon even more formidable challenges, tasks designed to bend her spirit, if not break it. Despite the looming challenges, success in her first trial fueled Psyche's resolve. She found a glimmer of hope in the knowledge that her dedication had not gone unnoticed, even by those as small and humble as ants. This sense of unity and silent support bolstered her spirit, revealing the unyielding truth. Love and perseverance, hand in hand, could bend all odds. As Psyche readied herself to face further divine trials, her heart beat with a renewed rhythm, carrying forward the promise of reunion and redemption. As the dusk deepened into nightfall, Psyche prepared herself for the challenges yet to come. Her heart, though filled with apprehension, was also tempered with resolve forged in the crucible of love's trials. Each step she took transformed her, guiding her toward the path, entrenched in resilience and fortified by hope. The next trials awaited, whispering of further perseverance, yet Psyche's heart remained steadfastly buoyant with the dream of reuniting with her beloved Eros. With her heart set on reuniting with Eros, Psyche displayed unwavering determination as she prepared for Aphrodite's next trial. The goddess demanded that Psyche collect golden wool from the notoriously dangerous sheep that roamed the rugged and untamed landscapes. These sheep were known for their aggressive nature, and their wool was coveted for its radiant glow. The task, seemingly impossible, required Psyche to navigate this perilous environment with care and ingenuity. Psyche journeyed to the riverbank, where the sheep grazed near the swift currents, an area both tranquil and foreboding. Reflecting on the task ahead, she sought solace amid the gentle whispers of the reeds and the soft murmur of the flowing river. It was a peaceful moment, where Psyche's resolve intermingled with the simplicity of nature, allowing her to breathe deeply and consider her options. As she stood at the riverbank, a friendly green reed bowed slightly in the breeze and spoke, offering guidance to the troubled maiden. It advised Psyche to exercise patience, suggesting that she wait until sunset, when the sheep would rest and their luminous wool would be easier to gather without encountering their raw. The reed's advice was sound, offering Psyche a strategic approach and bolstering her courage as she faced the daunting sheep. Listening to the reed's wisdom, Psyche decided to follow this safer tactic. As the sun descended, painting the sky in hues of soft gold and deep green, she watched the sheep settle down into their twilight repose. The atmosphere around her calmed, echoing her own tranquil focus as she prepared to fulfill the challenge. The river flowed gently beside her, and Psyche moved quietly toward the resting flock, careful not to disturb their slumber. When the moment felt right, Psyche gathered the golden wool that had caught against the briars and the low branches scattered along the banks, meticulous not to provoke the sheep. Her tactic proved successful. As dusk crept into the river's embrace, Psyche emerged victorious, a handful of luminous wool in her grasp. It was a triumph born of patience and resourcefulness, a testament to her growing wisdom in navigating the goddess's trials. Returning to Aphrodite, Psyche's steps were more assured, bolstered by her triumph. The goddess was both surprised and displeased, her regal disposition marred by the unexpected success of her adversary. As Psyche presented the golden wool, Aphrodite's gaze was unmistakably skeptical, yet begrudgingly impressed. Her demeanor, however, bespoke plans for further challenges, still determined to test Psyche's limits. Despite the goddess's unsatisfaction, Psyche's resolve only strengthened, a flame eternally flickering amidst the winds of adversity. She remained undeterred, fueled by the desire to overcome each hurdle laid before her as she progressed down the path toward her ultimate goal. Without complaint, Psyche readied herself for whatever new task Aphrodite might choose, quietly growing in confidence as she embraced each challenge with grace. The river, now crimson beneath the setting sun, sang a quiet lullaby, carrying Psyche's worries away as she contemplated the trials still to come. She knew her journey was far from over, but each challenge served as a stepping stone, guiding her toward a future intertwined with love and destiny. The serene rhythm of the world around her mirrored her own heart's song, a melody of hope and determination, sweetly ushering her into the next chapter of her tale. The trials set before Psyche had tested the depths of her fortitude and unwavering determination. Each task laden with challenges seemed to prepare her for the next, yet none were as daunting as what befell her now. Aphrodite, still begrudgingly impressed by Psyche's success with the golden wool, set forth a new demand that pierced the very souls of those who heard it. Psyche was to draw the vitreous waters from the river Styx, a treacherous task that involved braving its dangerous cliffs where the river curled through the belly of the underworld. Unfazed by the lurking shadows and the chilling whispers of discouragement that surrounded her path, Psyche's resolve remained untouched by fear. The journey took her to the edge of a mist-cloaked cliff, where the river Styx flowed with an eerie silence. Below, within the swirling currents, lay the horrors of the netherworld, speechless shadows of dread haunting the periphery of her vision. The air was cold and heavy, yet Psyche, with a steadfast heart, braced herself to face the task ahead. As Psyche stood on the precipice of despair, wrestling with solutions to her seemingly impossible task, the skies offered a shimmering reprieve. An eagle soared gracefully overhead, its majestic form cutting through the gray, misty air. A creature of Zeus himself, the eagle sensed Psyche's plight and, recognizing her valiant courage, descended to provide aid. Without words, for the gestures of divine creatures need no translation, the eagle made known its intent to assist her. In awe of the celestial magnificence, Psyche entrusted her hope to the eagle, handing over the flask that would carry the sacred water back to the realm of gods. With powerful talons, the eagle took flight once more, gracefully navigating the treacherous currents of the Styx below. A dance of divine intervention unfolded as the noble bird dipped into the river's thrashing waters, filling the vessel with the magical liquid all in one adept swoop. Psyche watched in silent gratitude, her heart filled with a warmth that contrasted starkly with the oppressive chill of the underworld's edge. As the eagle returned, flask securely in its grip, a calm acknowledgement of her courage passed between the two. With a graceful hover, The eagle deposited the flask back into Psyche's hands before ascending back to the heavens, its task complete. Journeying back through the spectral terrain to Aphrodite, Psyche presented the hard-won water with a humble certitude. Yet, as expected, the goddess received her offering with a cool demeanor, her expression betraying both concealed admiration and apparent dissatisfaction. Though Psyche had completed yet another formidable task, Aphrodite's gaze, firm yet thoughtful, hinted at contemplation of further tests yet to come. Left to ponder what tasks awaited her still, Psyche could not quench the blooming resolve within her heart. Each trial, though daunting and seemingly severe, was but another step towards reuniting with Eros. Dense as the mist around her had been, the path was now illuminated by her growing strength, a beacon guiding her through whatever shadows lurked ahead. As Psyche prepared for the challenges yet to unfold, a serene acceptance gripped her being, enveloping her spirit in newfound clarity and grace. The trials before her had shaped her in unimaginable ways, yet amidst the uncertainty loomed a fierce determination that would see her through the tempest to come. With a deep breath, Psyche stood before Aphrodite, who issued her final and most daunting task: to retrieve a fragment of beauty belonging to Persephone, the queen of the underworld. It was a perilous journey, one that no mortal had undertaken lightly. Yet, knowing each task brought her closer to being reunited with Eros, Psyche accepted the challenge with a steady heart and determined spirit. Psyche journeyed to the entrance of the underworld, guided by whispers of sage advice she had gathered from kind souls along her path. To smooth her passage through the shadowed realm, she carried with her a pair of pennies and a small offering to appease the various spirits she would encounter. Her determination was a beacon, guiding her steps as she approached the foreboding entrance that would lead her deep into the realm of Hades. As Psyche journeyed forward, she encountered the fearsome guardian Cerberus, the three-headed hound of Hades. Legend spoke of his fierce loyalty, barring the way to any unworthy of trespass. But Psyche, with calm presence and gentle resolve, charmed her way past this formidable creature. She offered him a honey-saturated cake, a gesture of care that momentarily satisfied his hunger and distractions, allowing her to slip quietly by. Her journey continued steadily through the dim and muffled silence of the underworld. In the heart of this shadowed realm, she reached the court of Persephone, the queen herself. Psyche humbly voiced her petition, requesting just a touch of the queen's beauty to present back to the goddess of love. Persephone, in her wisdom and empathy, consented to the request, granting Psyche a small box filled with the essence of her beauty. The task seemed completed as Psyche began her return to the world above. Yet, as she neared the boundary back to the living realm, curiosity, that familiar companion of humanity, whispered to her heart. Wondering at the divine beauty she carried, Psyche paused. Could a glimpse of such beauty not aid her in her own exhaustion and trials? Succumbing to this simple wonder, she lifted the ornate lid of the box. The moment she peered within, a soft drowsiness overtook her. The contents of the box, rather than imparting the beauty it promised, released a somnolent mist that enveloped Psyche in a deep and restful sleep. She lay there, peaceful and still, as the passage of time wove its gentle threads around her, holding her in its tranquil embrace. Meanwhile, high above where time traced soft circles, Eros, no longer withheld by doubt, yearned to be by Psyche's side once more. In reclaiming his love, he descended gracefully to where she rested in silent repose. It was with tender care that he leaned over her, drawing strength from the unfaltering bond they shared. With a gentle touch and a kiss bestowed by love's own breath, Eros revived Psyche from her enchanted slumber. Awakening to the sight of her beloved, Psyche felt her heart fill with warmth and renewal. Together, they beheld the possibility of their future, reborn through trials faced and obstacles overcome. Their shared journey, marked by sacrifice and renewal, resonated as a testament of their enduring commitment to one another. Arising from the fields that bordered the shadowed lands, her spirit was now bound to a path of reconciliation and divine acceptance. The road lay open for her return, not merely as a mortal of earth, but as a soul kindred to both realms. In their quiet joy, Eros and Psyche embarked on their way, the bond between them now strengthened by the trials they had met and transcended. In the radiant glow of Mount Olympus, Eros ascended with Psyche by his side, her spirit buoyed once more by the love they shared. The gods had been summoned, and Zeus, with his wisdom and authority, had called upon them to deliberate Psyche's future. Eros, with heart earnest and steady, approached the Father of Gods with a plea woven with truth. He told of Psyche's virtues, her trials endured, and her unyielding love for himself, a god who had once been hidden from her sight. The great Zeus, ever just and judicious, listened with a calm bearing, weighing the sincerity in Eros's plea and the depth of Psyche's journey. As the assembly gathered, the discussions carried a weight not only of judgment but of hope for a harmonious end to the saga of trials beset upon this mortal. Each god and goddess in their celestial courts reflected upon the merits of the maiden who, without power or immortality, had touched the realms of the divine with her love and dedication. Apollo, god of prophecy and truth, spoke of Psyche's steadfastness, while Demeter, the nurturer of Earth's bounty, admired her gentle resolve. Zeus, in the grandeur of his divine will, rose with a decision that brought tranquility to the halls of Olympus. He declared, with a voice that transcended the ether, that Psyche had proven her soul worthy of divine eternity. And thus, he decreed that she be welcomed amongst the immortals. As a token of her newfound destiny, Zeus presented Psyche with a chalice filled with ambrosia, the nectar of the gods, its shimmering gold reflecting the celestial glow around them. With a gentle gesture, Psyche lifted the chalice to her lips, the ambrosia flowing with a warmth that spoke of both life and transformation. In that moment, she felt the tender embrace of immortality, her essence melding with the divine tapestry that held Olympus together. The gods, witnessing this transformation, murmured their acceptance, and even Aphrodite, with grace tempered by awe, recognized the earnestness of Psyche's love for her son. Old wounds began their gentle healing, fostering a reunion not only of lovers, but of kindred spirits reconciled. Aphrodite, stepping forward, offered her hand to Psyche, a gesture that mingled pride with apology. The arduous voyage of heart and spirit had led to this moment of celebration, and the goddess of love, with a new enrichment of understanding, let down her barriers, welcoming Psyche as a daughter, sister, and a peer. The air was filled with a soothing harmony, a melody that seemed to hum in rhythm with the immortal hearts around them. The scene unfolded into a grand celebration, a banquet worthy of the gods, where joy knew no bounds and laughter danced like light upon the polished marble floors. Tables were laden with treasures of flavors and aromas, the finest that the heavens could bestow. In this luminous gathering, Psyche and Eros stood as symbols of enduring love, whispering tales of mortals and deities across the celestial host that attended this opulent occasion. As chalices were raised and the music of creation itself played softly in the air, the couple united once more, now in shared eternity, basking in a love that had surmounted all challenges. This union, sanctified by the highest powers in the universe, became a beacon of hope and a testament to the bonds that transcend mortal and divine, time and trials. With the celebration intertwining their fates forever, Psyche and Eros reveled in the serene understanding that lay before them, a life eternal, filled with affection and peace, wrapped in the gentle embrace of Olympus and its dwellers. As they gazed into each other's eyes, the sunlit slopes of their new home promised endless days of serenity and joyous exploration. Their love, now immortal, would forever inspire the realms they touched. And so, in the light of their deepened connection, new beginnings dawned, setting the stage for adventures in the boundless territories of togetherness they would now traverse. As the harmonious sounds of divine jubilation enveloped them, they held on to the promise of a future colored with timeless beauty and unfading hope. Beneath the serene light of eternal twilight, Psyche and Eros found themselves dwelling in everlasting joy upon the summit of Mount Olympus. Their journey had been arduous, filled with trials that tested the boundaries of human endurance and the depths of divine intervention. However, as deified beings, they now basked in a love that spanned the realms, cherishing each other with a devotion that had overcome mortal constraints. Their story inspired wonder throughout Olympus and beyond, whispered among both gods and men as an anthem of perseverance and the ineffable power of love. The union of Psyche and Eros was not only a celebration of their love, but a symbol that transformed the very essence of their beings. The significance of their tale resonated through the divine halls, etching their names into the timeless tapestry of myth. Muses themselves were moved to verse, crafting songs and poetry that echoed across realms. The harmony of their love was interwoven with the celestial music, creating a melody that was sung by the stars themselves, a testament to an unyielding bond that had evolved far beyond earthly trial. Having earned her place among the divine, Psyche was greeted with respect and admiration by the other deities. Zeus, in his wisdom, had elevated her and granted her the ambrosia of immortality, a sacred nectar that sealed her transformation into a goddess. Radiant and serene, Psyche now stood alongside her peers, her spirit reflective of a soul that encompassed compassion, resilience, and grace. The other gods welcomed her graciously, bestowing gifts and extending gestures of acceptance, acknowledging her journey and her newfound place among them. Aphrodite, who once viewed Psyche as a rival, had undergone a transformation of her own. The goddess of love came to appreciate the steadfastness that Psyche exhibited in her quests and trials. Aphrodite's initial jealousy gave way to an understanding forged through shared familial ties. Their previous tensions dissolved into mutual respect, and a familial bond flourished, strengthening the eternal harmony on Olympus. Psyche became a beloved member of the divine family, her presence accepted with warmth and affection, cultivating a newfound sense of unity. Psyche's metamorphosis into the goddess of the soul marked a triumph of love and perseverance. As tales of her journey diffused through mortal lands, Psyche symbolized the enduring strength of love, serving as a beacon of hope and inspiration. Her legacy spoke to the transformational power that lies within a devoted heart and a determined spirit. Her story, immortalized through song and saga, transcended the passage of time, cherished by those who sought guidance and reassurance. The celestial feast that celebrated Psyche's ascension to immortality was a grand affair, attended by all who resided on Olympus. Deities gathered in joyful reverie, raising their goblets of ambrosia in honor of Psyche and Eros's everlasting union. Amidst laughter and shared tales of triumph, the court of Olympus resonated with the harmonious accord of celebration, a timeless expression of love's victory over adversity. The feast encapsulated the fulfillment of desires, a renewal of hope, and a testament to the enduring nature of devoted hearts. Harmony between the divine and mortal realms was reaffirmed, marking a peaceful coexistence ushered by Psyche's acceptance among the gods. Her presence among the pantheon bridged the gap between mortals and deities, embodying the bond that tied the two worlds together. The understanding and kinship that blossomed between the realms painted the tapestry of existence with hues of connection and serenity, a reminder that struggles are but threads within the fabric of destiny. Psyche and Eros, now divine lovers of eternity, stood as epitomes of a union unfaltering in its dedication. Their story concluded, yet their love would continue to thrive, influencing the hearts of those who dared to dream of such glory. Under the gentle light of Olympus's eternal twilight, their love stretched across the horizon, lingering in the hearts of gods and mortals alike. As the myth gracefully concluded, a serene ambience settled, casting a gentle aura of hope and eternity.